Alongside Brent Hubbs and Rob Lewis, I'm Austin Price for the Rocky Top Roundtable. Guys, it's Pittsburgh week, noon kickoff. How do we feel about noon kickoffs?
I love them. The older I get, the more I love them. I used to not like them, but I like them because I'm a grumpy old get off my lawn guy.
I'm a huge fan of either 7 o'clock or noon. Like that middle of the afternoon game just messes up your whole day.
Now, the atmosphere in a night game at Neyland Stadium is much better.
Sure.
I'll be the first to acknowledge that. But from a workload standpoint, I'm not opposed to a noon game at all.
Well, get used to it. It's the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm sure good with it next week for Tennessee Tech. Well, let's talk Pittsburgh. Let's talk quarterbacks. Joe Milton will get the start on Saturday. Guys, we've talked about this for the last, basically 7 days since Tennessee played against Bowling Green. He's got to be better. And, let's start with some of the good things he did early in that game. Probably some scripted stuff, but they come out and they worked in the short passing game early.
Rob, I thought he did a nice job of taking what the defense gave him early. I thought the defense adjusted in the second quarter and kind of forced him to read the field a little bit more. I think he struggled some with that. I don't think his receivers helped him a lot either in that second quarter, got him knocked out of rhythm.
I think just what the word you just said right there, rhythm, that's what jumped out to me in the first two series, those two touchdown drives. He was in rhythm. He was on time. And then, it just kind of fell off a cliff. And you're right, the receivers didn't help him. And I think Bowling Green really, They weren't getting to the quarterback a lot anyway. They really dropped a lot of guys into coverage, and like you said, I think he struggled reading the field. He hits a couple of those throws, and the stat line is a lot different. And
the whole conversation in this town is totally different.
The whole narrative is different if he hits a couple of those, one of those deep shots.
Well, he's going to have to hit some of those on Saturday because, Pittsburgh probably going to play up in the box, say, you're going to have to throw it to beat us. Tennessee ran the ball with such success against Bowling Green, that kind of two-headed monster of Tyon and Jabari Small, that it's going to be to me inevitable that they're going to creep up more guys in the box than what Tennessee can block.
Well, anybody that's followed Pat Narduzzi through the years knows how he likes to play defense. He's always going to crowd the box. He's always going to take the run away. He loves to stay in a 4-3, not even play nickel if he can avoid it. And he wants to play press man on the outside. He wants to press the receiver up, get in their face. Two things have to happen there. One, Joe Milton's going to be good, accurate from an accuracy standpoint with the ball down the field. And two, Tennessee's receivers are going to have to beat press man coverage and get open. This game 2 years ago, that's how Central Florida scored when Josh Heupel was leading the Knights against Pitt. It was about deep balls. It was about throwing the ball vertically, and they had success doing that. That's going to be Tennessee's challenge offensively, in my opinion.
Can Tennessee, nobody's expecting them to run for 300 yards, but how well do you feel like they can run it against Pittsburgh, Rob?
I liked what we saw from the backs last week, but I just think you have to take it with such a grain of salt because Bowling Green, I don't think was very good. They were the worst run defense in the country last year by a very wide margin, and I think you have to take that into account. I don't take away anything that Evans or Small did. I think they're quality SEC tailbacks, but I think this is a weird game because Massachusetts, who Pittsburgh played last week, was the only team in the nation that was really as bad as Bowling Green last year. I think Massachusetts averaged 3 points a game. Bowling Green averaged 11. They were literally two of the worst teams in the country a year ago. So I really think it's hard to use either opener as much of a litmus test for what you've seen out of these two teams.
I'll tell you one thing, Jabari Small with that towel dangling off of him, it takes some getting used to. Flipping it to the defensive side of the ball, Pittsburgh has an extremely experienced quarterback, super senior Kenny Pickett, knows where to go with the football, works the middle of the field extremely well, and has just played a lot of games. We're talking almost 40 games he's played for Pittsburgh. How big of an advantage is that for Pitt to have a guy that has went and played on the road in environments? Even though I know it's not the SEC, but still he's played in tough environments on the road. He's played a lot of big-time football at that level.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that that's an advantage for him. That's got to translate. He's got to play well. He missed a game last year in that shortened season, and he played the Clemson game with basically no offensive line in front of him because they had 3 of their starters in quarantine that week. But, I think that he's a guy who can make all the throws that you want him to make. I think, Rob, they've got to keep him from getting in a rhythm. I think that's the biggest thing in watching him play. When he can get back and set his feet and he's on time and in a rhythm, he can make any throw that you need to make. He can get himself in trouble if you have to move him off, if he has to move off a spot, and you make him do some things he doesn't want to do. You know, hit his fourth or fifth read or come back to somebody else. If he's on time and in rhythm, man, he can throw it. There's no question. That's why some people like him as a mid-round NFL draft prospect.
And I think the experience factor at this stage of the season is a big deal. When, you know, as you said, he's a fifth-year guy. He's got a great receiver. I guess, is it Jordan Addison that was a freshman last year? He caught 60 balls. Real talent out there. An experienced offensive line. I don't think they're super explosive, but I think they're efficient, competent, and experienced. They won't be rattled by going on the road and playing this game.
Biggest key in this game on either side of the ball is what?
It's Captain Obvious stuff. Joe Milton's got to play better. Joe Milton's got to be efficient. I mean, he can't take 3 sacks. He can't have a sack fumble. He can't throw for 47% completion rate.
Is that the biggest thing, Brent? Look, Pittsburgh got home a lot last year. And so the likelihood is Tennessee's going to give up a sack or two, even if they protect pretty well.
Right.
Is it just avoiding the blindside fumble that we saw last week a couple of times, both by Hooker late in the game and then by Joe Milton there in the third?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't argue with Rob in any way. Joe Milton's obviously got to play better. We all know that. I think the other thing, too, is this offensive line. I mean, this offensive line's got to play well. They've got to be physical enough that Tennessee can run it enough to where Pittsburgh has to worry about the run game. They can't pin their ears back and come, all the time, and it's third and long all day long. Tennessee's got to be somewhat effective in the run game. They've got to protect well enough, and then Joe Milton's got to help that protection out. He's got to move, slide, get the ball out on time, and those type of things. Because while Pittsburgh, who led the nation last year in sacks, lost a couple key contributors, they're veteran at the linebacker position. They're seasoned up front, even though they've lost a couple of guys. They're going to come after Tennessee aggressively. Tennessee's offensive front's got a heck of a challenge for them this week, much different than a week ago.
It's Tennessee and Pittsburgh coming up noon on Saturday. We'll have complete coverage for you throughout the week at VolQuest.com. For Rob Lewis and Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price.